Gruesome discovery inside a Pennsylvania man's home. Police find the remains of more than 100 skeletons. 34-year-old Jonathan Garlick is facing more than 500 charges of being held in $1 million bail. Investigators say since Halloween, he has broken into dozens of freestanding burial chambers and gravesites, and some of these remains were 200 years old. Others newer, including remains with a pacemaker attached. Police say it's unclear what he's doing with these remains.
Lancaster County man is charged after investigators say he stole more than 100 remains from a cemetery in Delaware County. News 8's Bailey Martin has been working on this story all day, and obviously it's been attracting a lot of attention.
Yes, a
ghoulish story, in fact. Bailey, what have you found?
Over 100 human remains, full skeletons, skulls, bones, decaying torsos, and many more horrifying discoveries were found in the basement of a home in Lancaster County yesterday, and police believe they are all from a historic Pennsylvania cemetery. On Tuesday, police in Delaware County arrested Ephrata resident Jonathan Gerlach at Mount Moriah Cemetery near Philadelphia, where they say he was found with a burlap bag containing 2 mummified remains of small children, 3 skulls, and other bones. Court documents say Gerlach admitted to them that he used a crowbar he had with him to remove those remains from several underground vaults. There were also more bones in his car there, according to police. A search warrant was then conducted by Ephrata Police and the Delaware County District Attorney's Office last night at Gerlach's home in Ephrata, where they say they found over 100 full or partial sets of human remains. Police also say they found 8 more bodies in Gerlach's storage locker near his home.
After 30 years now, I can say this is probably the most horrific thing that I've seen. There were so many that they were in various states. Some of them were hanging, as it were. Some of them were pieced together. Some were just skulls on a shelf. I cannot imagine what it would put them through to know that someone like this guy had dug up those remains and was doing God knows what with them. It is truly, in the most literal sense of the word, horrific.
Mount Moriah Cemetery had been reporting burglaries there for the last several months, starting in November of 2025. Police reported that Gerlach's phone was pinged at the cemetery 6 times from Halloween night of 2025 to Christmas Eve. Mount Moriah Cemetery has grave sites from 1885, and 25 of the bodies found here in Lancaster County are over 100 years old. Others are newer. The Delaware County District Attorney noted that one body still had a pacemaker attached. Jonathan Gerlach is being charged with burglary, abuse of corpse and desecration, and theft or sale of venerated objects. And his bail in Delaware County has been set at $1 million, guys.
Over 100 human skeletons were recovered, and that's in part, at this point, we are still trying to figure out how many of those are complete and what exactly we are looking at. A separate storage locker was found to be in Mr. Gerlach's possession. That also was in Ephrata. We found there 8 more human remains. Very simply, detectives have recovered an awful lot of bones at this point, and we are still trying to piece together who they are, where they are from, and how many we are looking at, and it's going to be quite some time before we have a final answer. It is truly, in the most literal sense of the word, horrific. I grieve for those who are upset by this, who are going through it, who are trying to figure out if it is in fact their loved one or their child, because we found remains that we believe to be months-old infants among those that he had collected.
My daughter went out on a date with this dude. What? My daughter called me last night and she said, "Dad, I went out on a date with this guy in 2017. We lived in the Lancaster, PA area before we moved to Las Vegas. He is accused of robbing graves and selling the parts online. What? When my daughter texted me last night, I gotta tell you something, she calls me and says, "Dad, I went on a date with this dude." And she said he used to come to the mall where I used to work, the Park City Mall in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I thought, oh my God. I swear to you, not making this story up, my daughter called me last night and said, "Oh, by the way, Dad, 2017, I dated this dude." Just one date. Just one date, Dad. Folks, what is going on with this world? Oh my God.
So this sick fuck that you see on your screen is 34-year-old Jonathan Gerlach from Yalden, Pennsylvania. He is facing 574 charges total and more after the police discovered he had over 100 skeletal remains in his home. Jonathan broke into mausoleums and gravesites at Mount Mora Cemetery multiple times since Halloween and other cemeteries as well. So Jonathan was arrested on January 6th at a Delaware County cemetery. He had a bag of remains. Oh gosh. And so different accounts, as I was doing my research, said he had a burlap sack. Some just say he had a bag. But they all say that he had 3 children's remains when he got caught. And a few skeletons. So all in all, he had 30 people. When he got caught on January 6th, the police discovered his RAV, whatever it is, a Toyota, and they found bones in the back seat and in the trunk, possibly from other cemeteries that he came from before he got caught. So he showed the police where he had taken these 30 skeletons and 3 children. All right. So then, after they arrested him, the police went to Johnson's home in Ephrata, Lancaster County, where they found over 100 skeletal bones and skulls. And some of these bones were over 200 years old. One of the bones still had a pacemaker attached to it. Yo, that can't get any fresher than that. So the police believe he also collected month-old infants. Jonathan he was in a Facebook group called Human Bones and Skulls Selling Group. So the police believe that he probably, they're not sure, sold these humans' bones to other people. And he was tagged in one of these pictures on this Facebook group with a skull in his hand. So they don't know why Jonathan wanted these bones. It's just gross. Like, what the hell? So Jonathan hung some of the remains. He pieced together others and he put skulls on the shelves. And Jonathan also had a storage unit filled with human bones. Okay, because there's different accounts. They say he got people who just died, 200-year-old bones, stuff like that, 50-year-old bones in this storage unit. And so now he is being charged, like I said, 570 counts total and 100 counts of abuse of a corpse. So this is what he is charged with. Receiving stolen property, abuse of a corpse, multiple counts of desecrating a public monument, desecrating a venerated object, desecrating a historic burial place, burglary, trespassing, and theft. Yeah, you can't make this shit up. He is held on a $1 million bail, and his court date is January 20th. This man is sick as fuck. This man is sick. How can you just go to a cemetery and just dig up people? He got headless torsos, skulls, human bones, and mummified feet, and you just put them in your car and in your house, in your basement. You act like these license plate readers cannot find you. And they found him because he went to multiple graves. They pinged his cell phone, and when that happened, he was at a cemetery. When they pinged his cell phone, this is sick. This man needs to be in jail for life. I feel bad for the family who are going to be notified that their loved ones was dug up. This is terrifying. Especially trying to get in contact with the 200-year-old bones with their families. Very hard. This man, ugh, what the hell? Ugh. But hell, what do I know? I'm just a talking head.
100 skeletons. The police found 100 skeletons in one man's home. This occurring in Pennsylvania is not a shocker. If you are from Pennsylvania, if you've driven in Pennsylvania, basically if you've ever been in Pennsylvania, you know that if you want to hide out after committing a very outrageous crime, that's the state you run to. This guy right here is your modern day Ed Gein. 34-year-old Jonathan Gerlach. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. This man was digging up people's bodies. Bodies from 200 years ago. From babies to adults. How did he manage to break into all these mausoleums and grave sites and dig up all these bodies? I have no clue. Sounds like they need a new security system. Keep that man locked up. Throw the key away even. $1 million bail? It's not enough. Matter of fact, no bail. Nothing. That man does not deserve freedom. We see what he does with his freedom, and I don't like it.
Here's a story for you. This is Jonathan Garlock, Pennsylvania man. Home was just invaded, where they found over 100 sets of bones in his house. This man have broken into graveyards ever since November last year and January of this year. He have stolen bones that are over 200 years old. And now the police is trying to contact the families to apologize for what this man has done. What a world we live in.
This is Jonathan Christian Gerlach. He's 34 years old, and he was just arrested for the amount of dead corpses and remains they found in his home. Over 100 bodies. Now, Jonathan lives in Philadelphia, near Mount Moriah, which is essentially an abandoned cemetery. And Jonathan thought he would start snatching the dead remains from the cemetery and keeping them in his home. Not only in his home, but they even found a second storage unit. Now, the graveskeepers noticed that the bodies were being dug up. So the police set up a sting operation and waited for Jonathan to return. And they found him, caught him red-handed. Bro even had a bag of 30 sets of different remains on him when they found him, all of which the bodies were the remains of dead children. It is unclear what Jonathan was doing with these remains. They were in all kinds of different conditions. Some have been decomposed, some are full skeletons. We'll know more once we find out what he was doing with the remains. Now, they're still figuring out how many dead remains Jonathan has, because it's really hard to tell what bone goes to what body and whose body even is it. So the story is still being concluded. I'm sure we'll know more soon. As far as a motive goes, I will keep you guys up to date.
Man, 2026 is starting off extremely crazy, man. Y'all better go check. Listen, if you live in Pennsylvania, Delaware, you better go check on your loved ones, man, at the cemetery. This guy right here, they found 100 skeletons, guys. Some of them up to 200 years old inside of his residence, inside the walls and everything. Skeletons, guys, remains of your late loved ones. They say some of those skeletons date back to over 100 years old. This guy was robbing cemeteries, man. That the police got a search warrant to search his residence, man. And what they found was unbelievable. You guys don't believe me? Just go search it up, man. This guy right here is being charged with robbery, theft, and all kind of stuff, man. What in the hell was this guy doing with 100 skeletons in his closet, in his basement? Do you guys realize how scary that is? What was his plans? Like, is this the new modern day Jeffrey Dahmer? Except he's taking people that's already been buried, people that's already dead? What? I'm lost, man. I'm in disbelief that this is going on in 2026, man. Well, I guess the good thing is he's been caught. But what's going to happen now with those 100 skeletons? They have to identify each one and put those skeletons back in the cemetery. Is that going to come at the cost of the family members all over again to have to rebury their loved ones? This lets you know, man, people don't really go to the cemetery to visit their loved ones like they used to. But I think now, because of this situation, we need to start going to see our loved ones that we lost, man. This right here is fucking sick, man. You guys let me know what y'all think of this weird ass case right here, man. This dude, man, he should be under the jail, bro. Let me know in the comments what y'all think of this weirdo, man. Thanks for watching.
Breaking news, over 100 human skeletons have been found inside of a man's home. Authorities say this investigation has been underway for several weeks as cemetery staff started to notice things to be moved around in the cemetery. In addition to that, they noticed that some of the grave sites were disturbed. After investigating, authorities determined that 26 underground vaults and mausoleums were broken into and desecrated from November to the day he was caught. Authorities announced that 34-year-old Tanner was arrested in.
They're calling him the Pennsylvanian Ghoul because he stole over 100 corpses and had them in his basement. It's alleged that he sold some of them, but what was he doing with the rest? Police were able to catch him fairly quickly because it looks like he was a terrible thief. He was robbing these graves, and while he was doing it, he was smoking cigarettes and drinking a ton of energy drinks and left all of the cans and butts all over. He was going into crypts that had multiple graves and then leaving all of these items. So when police finally got the phone call, they were able to quickly apprehend him. And once they did, they found out that he wasn't just taking from that one spot. He had gone and raided numerous sites having over 100 corpses in his house. When the police raided his home, they found full and partial human remains in his basement, and family members even confessed to seeing a partially decomposed corpse hanging from the ceiling in his basement, but said they were too scared to contact police. This is an aerial photo of one of the cemeteries he was robbing from, and the police say that he did admit to selling some of the body parts online, but that was just a fraction of what they found in his home. Prosecutors said in November that the cemetery contacted them because the mausoleum had been basically destroyed. The marble flooring was all torn up, and they also found apparently a white nylon rope with a carabiner still attached that made it look like he actually rappelled 10 feet down from the ceiling to get in this mausoleum. Some of these corpses were over 100 years old, and one of them still had the pacemaker attached to it. Now, he has been charged with a number of things, including criminal mischief, criminal trespass, intentional desecration of a public monument, and abuse of corpse.
This man's crime was described as a horror movie in real life. This is Jonathan Gerlach in Pennsylvania. He was just arrested. Police found hundreds of human skeletal remains within his home and also in a storage unit. There were graves and mausoleums that were being burglarized. So the police were investigating as to what was going on here. Well, it turns out that this man was the one going there and taking these remains and bringing them home. It says above here that detectives walked into a horror movie come to life. This is an unbelievable scene that no one involved, from myself to the detectives to the medical examiners that are now trying to piece together what they are looking at. Quite literally, none of them have ever seen anything like this before. Now, police had surveillance at the cemetery and they saw Jonathan's car. And in the back seat, the human skeletal remains were as visible as it could be. Jonathan was then seen exiting the cemetery with a burlap bag, crowbar, and other assorted items. He was then brought into custody, where he actually admitted his wrongdoings. Jonathan was charged with more than 450 counts, including 100 counts each of abuse of corpse, theft by unlawful taking and receiving stolen property, and his bail was set at $1 million, with an arraignment hearing scheduled for January 20th. I think this could be our modern day Ed Gein. It's really freaky. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and follow for all things horror if you're new here, because this was horror.